Hey, good morning, everyone. Glenn Calloway from the basement. Start of another work week, Monday morning. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Today I'm going to talk about Miles Davis. How did it start with me with Miles? So I knew the name, like in the 60s and 70s. Miles Davis's name was not, even when you're just into rock music, you heard the name. But my musical mind was nowhere near developed enough to get into this music. And when he started getting into the rock fusion, jazz fusion stuff, with this great album, Bitches Brew, I remember loving the cover whenever I would see it, but it just could not resonate with me. Like I said, I was just my musical mind was immature, to say the least. And so that was it. But I I didn't even like jazz like in the 60s or anything. I thought it was a bunch of people who were trying to tune their instruments. But early 70s, when I was really getting into string music and bluegrass music and bands like Newgrass Revival, and then the bluegrass musicians who were really, really proficient, they were getting out of just the basic, three-chord bluegrass tunes and adding a lot of jazz to their playing. Like the main ones for me were David Grisman, Tony Rice, Bela Flack, of course, when he did Chick Corea's Spain, was probably the biggest one. And then I really started to understand a little bit about jazz and started to appreciate it. Started to get a little bit interested, but it was still a tough listen for me to listen to all the greats, the Coltrane's and that. I couldn't get it. Sometime in the 80s, maybe late 80s, early 90s, probably that late, I was sitting with a guy talking about music, and he was a big jazz guy. And I said, where do I start if I want to really seriously get into this music? And he said, immediately mentioned one album, Miles Davis, Kinda Blue. So I went out and bought this record, CD probably, and brought it home. And it interested me. Is that it? Okay. Not enough that I was real comfortable with it from the start, but enough that I could keep going back to it. Brilliant album. Miles went through a lot of different phases. That's the problem with getting into Miles Davis. It's intimidating because there are so many phases of his career, so many different styles of music. His catalog is massive. And it's like trying to, like when a newcomer says, oh, where do I start with Frank Zappa? What the hell do you tell a guy to start? Do you like the jazz rock fusion stuff? Do you like the kind of the satirical rock stuff? It's all over the place. And Dylan, another one. Like, I mean, you're talking, 50 albums here. Like, where do you start? As the Hendrix catalog, people get confused with Jimmy, because there's been so much posthumous stuff released. I think if you start to get into Hendrix now, you don't realize that, the man only put out 3 records and a live album. That was it. But there's about 50 Hendrix albums. So anyway, Kinda Blue. That was my album. Then did get into Bitches Brew. And along the way, I started picking up more Miles. This album is considered one of his masterpieces, early album, Birth of the Cool. Not my favorite era of Miles, but brilliant stuff. Round About Midnight, I believe that's his first Columbia record release. He was on the Prestige label before that. This is a Legacy edition, which has some live tracks on it. So that's pretty cool. I just have the original one too. Miles Ahead. A lot of these I need to listen to again. These are albums you need to play over and over and over again to get them in your head. So, like, here's one that I couldn't even talk to you about. Sketches of Spain is a beautiful album. Spain is a Chick Corea composition, and Miles uses, I think, that kind of melody throughout the album to create this mood. It's a beautiful, beautiful record. This is definitely one of my favorite Miles albums, Sketches of Spain. 7 Steps to Heaven, we're starting to get into a little more, not rock music, but heavier jazz fusion stuff with these albums now. ESP, again, is an album I really need to dig into again. In a Silent Way was one of my favorite ones. My favorite Miles album, Jack Johnson, which I have on vinyl as well. That's an incredible record. 2 songs. Tribute to Jack Johnson. It's John McLaughlin and Miles Davis just playing their hearts out. Man, it's a good album. If you like rock, if you're a rock fan, having a hard time with jazz, listen to Jack Johnson. And of course, Bitches Brew, which I already showed. Some live stuff. Live at the Plug Nickel, which is a highly respected jazz album. Live album. Live at the Black Hawk. I believe there's 2 series of this album. And of course, On the Corner, which is kind of the precursor to Bitches Brew. Pretty similar stuff. I also have on vinyl, one of my favorites is Milestones. And I picked this up on Record Store Day. It's Bitches Brew, but this is Rare Miles from the Complete Bitches Brew Sessions. Miles Davis Double Image. Really good. If you can find this, it's fantastic. And this was another, I don't know if this was a Record Store Day release at all. Miles Live in Vienna. I think that's Vienne, maybe. I don't even know that's supposed to be Vienna. Another great live album. But what I really wanted to kind of get into here, and of course, there's a comp, Miles' Greatest Hits. If you ever want to do that, another comp is called Blue Miles, which I picked up for a couple of bucks in a used store. They've started, like Dylan had the bootleg series, they've started doing that with Miles. So it includes some studio session stuff and some live stuff. And I picked up this volume 7 used for $24 in a used CD store a few weeks ago, and absolutely fell in love with it. Disc 3 has Miles playing live in Montreal with John Scofield on guitar from a 1983 concert, and it is freaking mind-blowing. Oh, man. Funky, rocky. Oh man, I'm telling you, again, if you're just a rock guy and you're kind of interested, try and find Miles Live in Montreal 1983 and give this a listen and tell me you don't like it. It's amazing. So yesterday, there's a lot of Miles I don't have. Like I said, it's a massive freaking catalog. And there's one album in particular that I'm always interested in. It's an album he made in France. He went over to do a soundtrack for a movie, I believe. Miles fans can tell me if I'm wrong. And I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Ascenseur pour something or other. I don't know. It's really small in that. It's right there. Anyway, So I stopped at the local mall record store yesterday, just looking to see what they had. And I was actually looking for that CD or record, and they didn't have it. But they did have this comp, and it's the classic album collection, his finest LPs on 4 CDs. So they don't give you the covers in here. They give you 4 CDs and cram 8 albums on 4 CDs. So one CD's got like 3 albums on it, or 2 albums, depending. And what I liked about this set is I had an SACD of Miles Kinda Blue, and I sold it when I sold my SACD player, and I've never replaced the CD. So I got Kinda Blue on here, which is cool. And I've never had any of the others on CD except Sketches of Spain. So I got 6 Miles Davis albums that I did not have, and I was really, really wanting that French one. And it is, I listened to it in the car yesterday when I was driving around. Oh my God, it's so good. It's just very haunting music. It's absolutely beautiful. There's one song that's kind of bebopish, but the rest is just like, there's so much space, and it's incredible. So anyway, I ended up with Bag's Groove, Miles Davis off the Prestige label. I ended up with Miles Davis All Stars, Relaxing with Miles, Milestones, which I showed you on vinyl, and I did not have it on CD. Again, Kinda Blue, Sketches of Spain, and another one called Miles Davis. I'm not sure. I can't tell what it is, but I paid I had 10% off. It's about 23 bucks I paid for it. Each CD comes with a picture of Miles, and then even in the background on the tray you get more. But you know what? I'm going to put this on a memory stick, and I'm going to be able to play it in the car. And I am looking for tons more Miles. I'm really, this is a big rabbit hole I'm going into here. But I'm digging it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but have a great day. We'll be back later in the week.